Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to present you the newest features in Microgateway 4.8. My name is Stefan Dittiker and I am the product manager of Airlock Microgateway. I have a few topics that I want to cover. First, the main new features of Microgateway 4.8, some miscellaneous features and changes. There are some news about the Airlock Academy. Finally, there are discontinued features I like to mention. The new version of Microgateway comes with a bunch of new features and improvements. The main new feature is custom error pages and mTLS support for up and downstream connections. And we provide you great improvements for session handling. mTLS for front-end connections is now available in Microgateway 4.8. Only clients with valid client certificates can establish a connection to Microgateway. So only certificates signed by the configured certificate authority are valid. Access control rules allow to define who can access a certain path or application based on the certificate properties. This can be accomplished without an additional IAM, which simplifies this use case tremendously. The client certificate information can be extracted and propagated as header to the backend service to achieve a single sign-on experience to the user. The following slide helps to illustrate the different front-end mTLS features. The user's browser validates the server certificate. This is something that happens automatically when a user browses a website. Microgateway requests a client certificate to access the website. This is why the user selects his certificate and authenticates against Microgateway. Microgateway validates whether the client certificate is signed by a certificate authority he trusts. Access control rules define who can access a certain web application. The rule can be per virtual host, path-based, and only allow access to clients with a specific certificate hash or SON property like email. The client certificate information can be extracted and propagated as header to the backend service to achieve a single sign-on experience to the user. Not only accessing, clients must authenticate themselves to Microgateway, but also Microgateway to the backend server. Microgateway validates the server certificate of the backend against the configured CA certificates. Microgateway can be configured with the client certificate to authenticate himself to the backend server. This way, mTLS is in place and mitigates man-in-the-middle attacks. Microgateway establishes a backend connection and validates the server certificate. The backend server validates the client certificate of Microgateway. The user request is only forwarded to the web application after the TLS connection has been established successfully. Microgateway 4.8 brings a DOS mitigation for the session store. The number of sessions created by a remote IP address can be limited. The possible action, once the threshold is reached, can be configured. Clients which share the same IP address because they are behind a forward proxy might trigger this threshold. Exceptions can be configured to exclude these remote IPs from the DOS protection mechanism. There are some reasons why Microgateway responds with an error page. Some of them are blocking a request because of a malicious payload, the configuration is invalid, or the backend cannot be reached. It is now possible to customize these error pages. Typical use cases are to include the contact details of the support or adjust the look and feel to the corporate identity. Sometimes backends leak sensitive data when error occurs. Replacing these responses from the backend is now possible and helps to prevent data leakage and create a consistent look and feel. The following slide helps to illustrate customization of local responses. The user sends a request to Microgateway for a website. Microgateway responds with an error page. Possible reasons are request is blocked, a routing or configuration issue. Now it's possible to configure a custom error page with the desired look and feel. As mentioned before, the other use case is to replace the backend response to prevent data leakage. The user sends a request to Microgateway for a website which is forwarded to the backend server. The backend server responds with an error page and leaks a stack trace with sensitive information. Now it's possible to configure a custom error page to prevent that sensitive information leak, and the same look and feel is in place. Besides the mentioned features, there are other improvements and changes to talk about. In addition, we provide you some other improvements. The J3 and J4 fingerprints are locked, which could help to analyze user activities. The session agent has been improved in the following areas. The log format is now in JSON, the log level can be configured, the Kubernetes resources are configurable. We do have some news about Airlock Academy I like to mention. In the past months, we worked on the following Academy topics. We created and improved a total of 7 Microgateway labs, which can be run for self-study purposes. The labs cover different aspects like initial setup, first web application, and different integration tasks. Try it out. We are planning an on-site training for Microgateway in 2026. Please subscribe to receive the latest news. There are some discontinued features I like to mention. We decided to deprecate the sidecar mode with version 4.8. The reason are to focus our development and create more customer value. This way we can simplify the documentation and improve the customer experience. This means Microgateway 4.8 is the last version with sidecar support. The release is supported for 9 months from the publication date. Switch to Gateway API if you were using Sidecar. Gateway API is the successor of Kubernetes Ingress and defines a standard. It requires less resources than Sidecar and gives new use cases like protecting non-Kubernetes workload. Switching from Sidecar to Gateway API is an architectural change. Approximately 90% of the microgateway configuration is identical, which simplifies the migration. With Gateway API, complexity is reduced in many ways. If you need assistance, reach out to us. I'd like to say thank you for your time and hope that you enjoy the new microgateway release. Goodbye.